The beginning of the war, how the dollar became America's weapon. The 20th century was a turning point in the world history, a time when the global order was completely reshaped. In that era, the world wars has ended, old empires has collapsed, and now the world was searching for a new order on top of the ruins and instability left behind. During this period, thanks to the United States, world leaders reached a pivotal moment, a moment they hoped would bring the stability they desperately needed. But what is interesting is that this new order wasn't built with tanks and guns, it was built with money, with a green piece of paper that was about to control the fate of the world for decades, the US dollar. After the World War II, the global economy had plunged into a severe recession. Europe was almost destroyed and Japan had to be rebuilt from scratch. But the United States, thanks to its geographic position, was barely damaged. In fact, it emerged from the war stronger than before. At a time when the world was busy cleaning up the destruction and consequences of the war, the US had suffered very little damage. And for that very reason, it had the time and opportunity to shape the future of the global economy. A decision that would result in nearly two-thirds of the world's gold ending up in American vaults. This meant that the US had managed, through a strategic move, to become the financial backbone of the world. To understand how this gold flowed into America, we need to go back to 1944, to a small village in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods. The United States invited representatives from 44 countries to sit around one table and decide the future of the global economy, a meeting that later became known as the Bretton Woods Conference. Even holding such a gathering at that time was an extraordinary achievement, and from the results, it's not hard to guess what America's real goal was. There, a decision was made that changed everything. Because of the problem caused during World War I, when countries ignored the gold standard, leading to hyperinflation, almost everyone agreed with the new plan. And what was that plan? The US dollar became the centerpiece of the global financial system. America said, you hold dollars instead of gold, and I'll hold gold for every dollar I print. At that time, each ounce of gold was worth $35. On the surface, this decision created a new order. Countries could trade, buy goods, produce, and all of it was calculated in dollars. It brought transparency to markets, but in reality, a hidden chain was formed. A chain that tied the world's economy to Washington. From then on, any country that wanted to engage in the international trade had to use dollars. And to get dollars, they had no choice but to trade with the US or hold their money in the American banks. This seemingly simple arrangement transformed the dollar from a financial tool into a political weapon. Washington realized that by controlling access to the dollar, it could dictate its policies to the rest of the world. And perhaps this was exactly why the Bretton Woods meeting had been orchestrated in the first place. In the 1950s and 60s, the US made full use of this power. The Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe, investments in Japan, expanding military bases around the world, all funded with the money it printed, money that no one could truly control. But this unlimited power had a weakness. Some countries, especially France and Germany, grew suspicious. They wondered, what if America is printing more dollars than the gold it actually has? Does every dollar really have gold backing it? And that's where things began to turn. Not in favor of the US, but everyone except the US. These doubts grew stronger. In the 1960s, France's president, Charles de Gaulle, made a bold move. He said, trust isn't enough, we want gold. And he sent French warships to return dollars to the US and demand gold in exchange. That was the moment the mask of the global financial system fell off. The world realized this empire wasn't built on gold, it was built on trust. And trust is not something that lasts forever. The dollar gradually shifted from a financial tool to a political and economic weapon. By printing money without sufficient gold, the US destabilized the foundations of the Bretton Woods system. And with that, the separation of the dollar from gold began. We arrive at 1971. President Richard Nixon appeared on television and announced, from today, the convertibility of dollars into gold is suspended. The single sentence was enough to change the monetary order of the world forever. Many consider that day the beginning of the currency wars. So now the question is, when gold was removed from the equation, how was the world supposed to preserve the value of its money? In the next episode, we'll explore how Nixon's historic decision pushed the world into a new era of instability. This was part 1 of the series, The Currency Thrones. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and give us a like, and hit the bell button so you won't miss the upcoming videos.